Hi, this is Katya Miles. Thank you so much for joining me, calling my brother across the world. I have not been in my home country for over 20 years, and I hope that today he fills me in on what's new. And by the way, to call with me next time, please click on subscribe. Ding ding ding.
Someone is calling. Hey,
Hey,
good morning.
good morning. Must be good evening over there.
It's good. It's good in here. Yeah.
We just switched an hour backwards, more of 2020.
Oh, cool. And for Russia, our past prime minister Dmitry Medvedev abolished winter or summertime, I guess, and the whole year round we have the same time, so we don't change time
Oh, really? I did
now
not
for
know
several years
that.
by now. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because when I was there was also a shift of time. Now it's not
Yeah.
happening
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. It's not happening at all. We abolished winter time for
Oh,
summertime, I guess.
yeah.
Like that.
Well, there were talks about doing it here too. So, but lots of people, people are divided, but some people think it's a good idea because it messes up our meridians. And how did it go for you guys? Did the change, I don't know when it happened, but did the change go well, or do you feel the difference?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's okay during the summertime, but during the winter time, you, I mean, it turns dark very early for this reason. The idea was that you change the time in the winter the way that actually prolongs the day. But when they stop doing that, the dark hours, I guess I can say that they start early for people, and that's, I mean, you need to get accustomed to that. Yeah,
Anyway,
but you mentioned that you guys, I mean, the people in US, they're divided on this topic. So are they still divided on the presidential election? So they're now united.
divided like never before. I mean, it's amazing. Trump supporters, and we found out that 2016 was not just a coincidence. They all still here. For many
And
people,
what about Biden supporters? What
well,
would they
Biden
say?
supporters, I want to make sure this is, everybody sees this.
Well, that doesn't mean that we don't like the Republicans as our audience. Welcome, and please subscribe, even if you're a Trump supporter.
Absolutely, yes. If you do subscribe, then you learn a little bit about Russia. We spend a little bit more time together, and maybe we are a little bit like each other more. Anyway.
Well, I hope that the politics that does not interfere in the day-to-day life of people wherever they are, in Russia or in the US. I'm fond of politics. I like to know more about what's going on in politics in my country and other countries. But I prefer not to talk about politics with my well, at least the relatives.
Yes, you're being very wise and smart, and that's why I think some people have rules: no politics, no sports at the dinner time.
Okay.
I follow Echo Moskva radio station in Russia. I don't know how big it is, but it's definitely very, very active in American, taking interest in American politics, and updates were coming there uh, very fast. The beginning of election seemed really dark because, again, we didn't expect that Trump would get such big numbers, and they were growing so fast. And for me, it literally was like a flashback to 2016, where nobody believed, especially after so many false polls that predicted that Trump did not have much chance. For me, it felt like, oh my gosh, this is a twilight zone with Gollum chasing me. At the end, when it started becoming more and more clear that Biden has very good position, and sense of relief came in, and we knew that it just will take time. Things that we saw President was saying and doing, it's nothing like we ever could believe would be happening on official level. And there was a lot of sadness and I think depression in the society. So with this new change, it feels like I can breathe. The normal person is going to lead the country and really take care of issues and people, and versus, you know, doing their own agenda for enriching himself and his family. Do you think with new leaders in America, there could be some changes and differences in Russia?
Well, in terms of reaction that Russian society may have to the results of the presidential elections in the U.S., for Russian people, that was more like a reality show, which Russian people were looking at closely. But the majority of Russian people, Russian society, doesn't have like strong support for either Trump or either Biden. As you remember, we discussed last time that it is likely that Mr. Biden wasn't well known for Russia or just common Russian people until recently, until he became a part of that reality show that was very interesting to watch. Now, when the reality show seems to come to the end, or mostly to the end, I have a feeling that not much will change in the nearest future for the communication between Russia and US and the attitude towards each other. We will just see the news from US when Mr. Biden, the president, will make some actions that will be echoed in Russia for some reason. So that's it. I mean, that's my feeling.
Well, when you say people don't know Biden, and when you refer to reality show, just to make it clear, you meant the election process, right? Because it was Trump who was in the reality show, not to confuse. But Mr. Biden,
I'm not commenting on that. but I meant the process, the election process.
But he was a vice president for Obama, so it's not his name is not new in international politics. So I would think more Russians do know him.
I think Mr. Obama was a very active president, and for people who live in other countries outside of United States, like in Russia, for example, they would first see Obama as the first face or first person of a country, or such as the United States. That's why my thinking was that Mr. Biden is not that well known to just common Russian people. Again, as compared to Trump, Mr. Trump was constantly part of the speculations, discussions, different processes, prosecution, investigations about the potential collusion with Russia or Russian officials or something else.
First of all, Trump has been known in Russia by visiting Russia multiple times and being in Russian news. And that's when he made...
and the beauty contest.
Yes, the first splashes of big American businessmen coming to town. So, and then, of course, with his name in the news all the time. So you think Russian people felt a little bit more connected, that they knew him. So they thought, oh, that's our guy. We understand and know him better. We partied together.
And he also, Mr. Trump was also a part of the Home Alone movie.
And do you think that is partially why Putin is staying so long in power, because it's just somebody that Russian people know so well, and just this fact that you know somebody much more, is better than somebody unknown?
That actually may have roots back to the history of Russia, Russian Empire, when we have Tsars, the emperors, right, who ruled the country until they were essentially dying, right? And after that, in the 20th century, with the Soviet Union, the rulers were not like changing so often on the democratic elections, every like 4-year period. So people and generations of people in Russia, in Soviet Union, and in Russia again, they might have used somewhere on the like in the brain or on the mental map to the idea that a good ruler or a normal ruler is someone who rules for a long time, and it's better to have the same person in power whom you know with all his pluses and minuses, advantages, disadvantages, rather than swap him or her for something completely unknown, which may be dangerous, and that may be part of the Russian character, maybe.
Yeah, so change of power constantly is just uncomfortable process to accept because it's totally not known. The US is a young country and they came up with a new system, and so many people come to America because democracy works here, and with this election, the change of power, thanks God. I think that wherever your political membership and belief is, people connecting through culture and history and just getting to know each other is the most powerful power. When we do come to differences, we use kindness and sometimes respect the differences.
Respect, of course.
Leave each other with where we at and move on. Speaking of moving on, I got completely disconnected with Russian news. What's exciting happening in Russia?
I think the other good news again come from Russian subway, metro, underground, Moscow metro. Made a communication with some shelters for homeless pets, right? And printed all pictures of cats and dogs that don't have the loving owners, with the QR codes that contain main information about the character of the dog or cat and where it's held currently, and it's gonna print it everywhere in the train, so that people who commute in the morning and the evening to their work or home, they could and and maybe they're looking for a friend, they could scan the QR code with their phone using the Wi-Fi in Moscow Metro, by the way, which is also helpful, and pick up the dog or a cat, and that's very cool, I think.
What a brilliant idea! That's really cool. When I was in Russia, I don't know how it's now, but it was accepted part of reality that dogs and cats were running on the street, and it was okay. I don't know if they have homeless pets running around right now in Russia, in Moscow, but I somewhat recently saw some kind of a documentary about Russian subway dogs. Like there is a whole Moscow subway dogs. I don't remember the details, but there's like lots of them. And that's what's interesting about Russia, is that there's always this balance between harsh politics and then things that come from kind human hearts, and care for pets, and to bring it up to, I mean, everybody use subway in Russia. We have to make the difference also in big cities. Here it's not as lots of people use it, but I would say car comes before public transportation.
And it also gives you a very like easy way to adopt a pet, right? And I think it's in general the whole idea of adoption is sort of booming in Russia, at least in Moscow, because there are quite often there are fairs. They are called the fair of for adoption of a pet that is set up by a shelter, a particular shelter, or a net of shelters. That very interesting topic I see, and I hope to see you again sometime later when we come to this. Oh, here you go.
Well,
yeah.
Oakley says Oakley says he approves. He says hello to all Russian pets and dogs. He's been
Oakley, привет.
Like Mama, very busy with elections, but he's happy to hear that Russian pets are getting the right attention they deserve. And he says hello to Nafanya and a Russian.
And of course, there are lots of things to work on still, and develop the legislation, including the legislation of punishing cruel people. And there are still cruel people cruel to pets and animals, and this is something that's still to be improved, eliminated, and lots of education should be done. But I hope that things will get better, and pets will not be alone. Don't leave your pet. Never. Or cruel Russians will come after you.
When I was leaving Russia, right before I moved to US, there were lots of people. There was a big fashion on getting big dogs. Big, and train them to be kind of on the aggressive side to protect. And that was a little bit disturbing because there were so many suddenly so many people were walking with the giant wolves. And is that still a kind of a trend in Moscow? Or I know you have a tiny cute one.
No, I think there are more tiny and small and medium-sized pets, at least in Moscow. What you see in dealings when you walk with your dog, but there are still big dogs that you can see, and sometimes you ask yourself, where do they live in the flat? Do they have a separate room like I do?
Back to Chekhov times, where we would see ladies with the dog, dama с собачкой, versus a big volkodав.
No. I mean, again, another idea when you see this kind of big dog, you have that you need to devote lots of time to teaching the dog, and not just teaching it how to sit or lie on the floor, but also how to have good manners, how to behave properly, so that you don't become a dog and your dog becomes a master.
Well, there are pretty strict rules here, so it's
that's something that, as I mentioned, where we still have space for improvement in Russia in terms of legislation. We do have new rules and new laws pursuing the good behavior of dogs in houses and outside on the walk, but not all of them are properly enforced, and it still needs to be developed. Of course, also together with the society and the norms within society itself.
I saw on the news something about car racing in the city of Moscow. At night? At night, is it? Do you know anything about it? I mean, it sounded like it was fake news.
Oh well, so there are sort of like street drivers. They're fond of cars, fond of driving, racing. They do some tuning to their cars, and they gather together to see who's the quickest, the fastest, as usual. 0 to 60 miles racing. Who's the first? Who's better in drifting, and different types of racing. And the impact that this kind of racing in a city makes on the regular people, like on a neighborhood, on a given neighborhood, right? Where people live, where people have families, where people sleep, and they absolutely don't want to see or hear anything about street driving, right?
No racing in residential areas.
No racing. Discussed that started long ago, at least for Moscow, because there were different occasions where good or bad things happened, where street drivers were driving in improper places or at improper times, and that was that of course caused negative reaction from other people, and even Moscow, the government was involved, and at some point, Moscow government gave to the street racers, let's call them this way, territory around Moscow State University, MGU, where the street drivers were given opportunity to gather at specific times, specific hours, and so if you go to that spot at that hours, that days, specific days, you will see lots of police, lots of street racers, lots of supporters, friends, and they have police has opportunity to look after them.
So how fast can you go? I mean, if it's racing in a city, especially in residential area, but even if it's in Moscow State area, prepared for that, how fast can you go?
Well, the regular speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour. I guess it's roughly 40 miles per hour.
Oh,
That's that. Sorry?
That sounds slow.
Yeah, that's regular. On some streets, well, in the center and some other streets, the speed limit is 40 kilometers per hour, which I guess makes it 25 miles per hour or something like that. And on a big streets that are not connected to side streets and they don't have the pedestrian crossing, essentially sort of like a highway in a city that goes out of the city. The speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour, which makes it like 60 miles, I guess, per hour. But outside, yeah, people sometimes go much higher speeds, because in Moscow there are lots of cameras, and they catch all different types of violations on the road. Yeah.
This is very exciting. Wow, car racing within a city. So can you tell us a little bit more about the specifics?
I think it's all started with about, like, say 20 years ago, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, and by people who were into car repairs. And at some point they decided to not just repair the cars, but also provide some tuning services. So they were tuning their own cars and the cars of their friends, and then just other people, the customers. And later on, that's all converted into sort of society of car tuners or street racers. Well, nowadays, generally everybody can just come to that spot and participate in a car racing. Of course, you won't go to that car racing if you don't have a racing car or a car that is specifically prepared, just fast car and the car that can drive.
How often do you know that's happening? Is it annual car racing or?
Before the pandemics, it was happening every Saturday or Friday, so on a weekly basis at least.
On a weekly basis? My God.
Yeah.
Wow, no
So
wonder.
you just can come. You don't have to have a car or participate in a car racing. It's just a very big spot where the music is on and some go girls dancing,
Oh,
and the some flashing lights. It's all kind of posh, and you just can walk and watch, and that's kind of that type of
so
event.
it's well organized into a big event, weekly event.
Music is on, so yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Well, yeah, car racing is big here too. There are lots of people, but it's not, to my knowledge, never in the neighborhood. But there are lots of people who go to famous car racing events, and I don't know any of happening in my neighborhood, but people do drive to Las Vegas and outside of the Bay Area. But I don't follow that though. I'm hoping. I got an invitation right before the pandemic to go to see car racing, but it didn't happen yet. But
I think in your neighborhood, if you drive more than 25 miles, you get into jail.
yes, there are some neighborhoods where they really watch the speed. So, and on the freeway, it's usually 65 here in California, and some areas really less populated could be 75, but inside the towns it's 35. So
Mm.
anyway, well, I noticed you have an interesting cup there. Did I see some English in it? Mine is
Yes,
pretty simple from IKEA, but I like it. But yours is
yeah,
definitely.
yes, that's not from IKEA. That's Starbucks doesn't pay us yet, but this is from just Starbucks. That's not exclusive, but that's I think a part of the I've Been series from Starbucks, where they sell their cups, different mugs and cups and other stuff branded with the name of and the signs of particular city or town where the particular Starbucks is located.
So this one you got in New York last time you
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Huh.
yes,
But there is Starbucks in Moscow, right?
of course.
What's more popular, McDonald's now or Starbucks? I remember when first McDonald's opened. Oh my gosh, that was a big event. Cultural.
Yeah.
Do people go to McDonald's still there? Like it's some kind of a special event place?
No.
Because that's what it was when I was there.
Well, 30 years ago, and there were no. I think when it was a big event, it was more an event of like U.S. businesses in Russia rather than. I mean, you can change the sign from McDonald's to Burgers King or whatever they're called, and that will be the same, I guess, at that times in Moscow. Of course, no, it's not an event. People do go to McDonald's sometimes. But I can say McDonald's in Russia are much better than McDonald's in US.
Yeah, that is true. Yes, I especially like those peasant potatoes on the menu. Are they still on? I might come
Still
to
on,
Russia just for that menu in
still
McDonald's.
on. Yeah, yeah. Well, I can buy and I can pack and send to you in US. I guess nothing will happen with them when they reach you.
It would have to be very extra overnight FedEx thing.
No, I think nothing will happen, even if it's a regular delivery for a week.
They're that well preserved, huh? Well, anyway, yes, no, I hear when franchises go to other countries, they cater to locals, and it totally makes sense that.
Yeah, so sometimes they indeed they add sort of like local taste or whatever. I mean, it's just I like it more in Russia because I mean the interiors, the outside the territory, the serving is I don't know, just looks better for some reason.
They definitely much better presented. Here it's yeah.
I think,
Anyway,
it's still like street food, I would say, right? Or I mean, I don't want
yeah.
to use the word junk food. The also junk food. I mean, it's
Oh, it
just
is junk food.
quick food. Let's call it this way, quick food, right?
Okay.
But for some reason, I mean, for in Russia, they still feel that they need to keep it at the like proper level of service and quality and how it looks like. So I don't know.
No, definitely much more pleasant experience to go to Russian McDonald's. That's for sure. So, well, maybe they will learn from themselves and bring Russian experience to American McDonald's. I don't know. That in that case, it would be.
Maybe. Yeah.
So, well, cool. Nice chatting with you. And I am full of hope for new presidential country leadership here. And we'll see what happens. Maybe,
Good luck.
yes. And maybe it will influence some Putin's political decisions as well within Moscow and within Russia. Let's hope for the best and stay in touch.
Yeah, and don't forget that the winter is coming, and try to consume enough I would say vitamins in sufficient level. And we got some cranberries here, so we're gonna do tomorrow some fresh cranberries.
Ooh,
Looks like
those look
this.
good. Yes.
Yeah, and it contains lots of vitamin C, and we'll prepare some traditional Russian drink or juice, kind of juice on the base of this stuff. So that's healthy.
Good for you. And you know, this is one thing in common. I guess it's a international season of cranberries.
Okay.
So we're gonna make a jam out of it. Thank you. Yes. I'll go to Trader Joe's and grab my portion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, make some nice. They don't call it jam here. They call it, what is it? Cranberry sauce.
Confiture.
Yes, and turkey.
And say hi to Trader Joe.
Joe is doing really well.
I'm sure.
And we are really well prepared for winter. Winter can come, and we are well prepared with the leadership of Joe overall. All right. Well, love you. Hello to everyone, and let's call again soon.
Okay. Yeah, love you too. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.